So we are going to learn how to calculate moments of inertia for solids with varying shapes and densities, and use that idea to solve the example that I've written on the board here. Now the first thing that we have to do is get an idea of what moment of inertia is. When we talk about linear motion, one of the ways that we describe mass is with the expression force equals mass times acceleration, which essentially says that for a particular acceleration to be achieved, the more mass an object has, the more force is required to accelerate it. When we think about moment of inertia, instead of talking about how difficult it is to achieve linear acceleration, we talk about how difficult it is to achieve angular acceleration using a torque. So a torque is a force applied in order to make an object start rotating, and the angular acceleration is determined by moment of inertia. We want to calculate this value I, given this expression here. So let's start by thinking about what angular acceleration is. If we are looking at a two-dimensional situation where we have a particular particle rotating in a circular path, and say it has some velocity v and a distance r from the origin. In this case, if we're looking at moving along a circular path, the distance traveled by that particle can be described in terms of arc length of a circle, s equals r times theta, where theta is the angle moved by that particle. If we look at the derivative of this expression with respect to time, the derivative with respect to time of arc length, of distance, is going to be linear velocity, or in this case, speed. The derivative of the angle with respect to time is going to be the angular velocity. And now we can differentiate this a second time, and when we do that, we get the information that we're looking for. The derivative of velocity gives us acceleration, and that's going to equal, again, r is a constant, times angular acceleration over here. That's the derivative of angular velocity. Notice in this case, when we're looking at velocity and acceleration, we're talking about movement around this circular path. So it has to be movement perpendicular to the radius, because the tangent line of a circle is always perpendicular to its radius. And this acceleration is also going to be perpendicular. So in this case, we can solve for angular acceleration being linear acceleration over radius, and plug that in over here. So we have the moment of inertia times perpendicular acceleration over radius. That's going to equal torque. Well, what is torque? Torque is the force perpendicular to the radius times that distance. Now notice from here that force is equal to mass times acceleration. So we get that the mass times perpendicular acceleration times distance is equal to moment of inertia times acceleration over distance. And now we can solve for moment of inertia because we have perpendicular acceleration on both sides, and that just leaves us with I is equal to m r squared. All we have to do is multiply that r to the other side. So this is our final expression for moment of inertia of an object with particular mass m and distance from the origin r. Now the last thing that we have to understand in order to do problems talking about the moment of inertia is the idea of moments of inertia about different axes. Notice this problem asks for the moment of inertia about the origin and about the y-axis. Those are going to be two different values. That's because the moment of inertia talks about resistance to rotation, but rotation always has to occur around a particular axis. So say I have a solid here that I'm trying to rotate. One way that I could rotate it is about this axis right here. This would be what we talk about when we describe moment of inertia about the origin. But I could also fix the object in this direction and rotate it like this. That would be another method of rotating. I could also fix it in this direction, rotate it like this. So we have three different axes of rotation. In that case, we have to think about what the notion of distance is describing in each of those cases. The distance r is talking about the distance from the axis of rotation. So if we are talking about the moment of inertia about the origin. We're saying that we're rotating about the origin. R is going to come from distance from the origin. So if we're looking at our particular solid that we've talked about here, it's going to be bounded by x squared plus y squared equals 1, which is a circle of radius 1. And if we look at a particular point, the distance from the origin, r, is going to be the square root of x squared plus y squared. So we can plug that in to our formula here and do all of our calculations. On the other hand, if we're talking about moment of inertia about the y-axis, we're rotating about the y-axis. So that's going to come from the idea of this type of rotation right here. In that case, the only type of distance that is relevant is horizontal distance. So if we look at a particular point, but we're rotating around the y-axis, this point is going to have r essentially equal to the x value at that point, because the y value is not relevant. When we were talking about particles, we described their inertia in terms of their mass. But if we're looking at a solid, instead of looking at a particular mass, we need to look at the density at every particular point, and we have to integrate over the entire region. Just like we would integrate density to give us mass, we have to integrate essentially the idea of density for moments of inertia to get us our total value. So in that case, we're going to integrate over the region of this solid here, and what we're going to integrate is density times r squared. So our density function in this case is the square root of x squared plus y squared, but that's just rho of xy. It can be anything we want. And then that's going to be multiplied by r squared. For a moment about the origin, r squared is x squared plus y squared. This particular problem is going to be solved the most easily by converting to polar coordinates. In this case, the angle being swept out in the polar system is from 0 to 2 pi, because we're looking at the full circle. And the distance r is going from 0 to 1, because we're looking at a circle with radius 1. R is the square root of x squared plus y squared. So this inside here is r cubed, and then the Jacobian will give us multiplying by r, dr d theta, which means we're actually going to have on the inside here r to the power of 4. If we do this out, we get the integral from 0 to 2 pi of 1/5 r to the 5th power, evaluated at 1 and 0. 0 to the 5th power is 0, so this part goes away, and we just have the integral from 0 to 2 pi of 1/5 times 1 d theta, and that's going to give us 2 pi over 5 as our final answer. That is the moment of inertia about the origin. But we're going to get a different answer if we do the moment of inertia about the y-axis. So let's see what that would look like instead. Rather than having x squared plus y squared multiplied by our density function, we have to look at a different idea of distance. Because we're rotating about the y-axis, y values are no longer relevant. So we're just going to be looking at x squared. That is our distance squared. When we convert this to polar coordinates, we're going to have the same bounds, 0 to 2 pi and 0 to 1. Now we're going to have this square root of x squared plus y squared gives us r, and this x squared we can write as r cosine theta squared. So r times r squared is r cubed times cosine squared theta, and then times another r from the Jacobian just like before. That'll be r to the 4th cosine squared theta dr d theta. And I'm not going to go through the steps of this integral in the video here, but this value is actually equal to pi over 5. So we see that before we got 2 pi over 5, this time we got 1 pi over 5. And that means that our moment of inertia is different about the y-axis than it is about the origin because of our different notion of distance. So that's how we find moments of inertia of particular solids using the idea of double integrals. We know that the moment of inertia is equal to mr squared, and in terms of a solid of variable density, that means we're going to integrate the density function times distance squared over the entire region. The notion of distance is determined by what axis we rotate around. If we're rotating about the origin, we need distance from the origin. If we're rotating about the y-axis, we need distance from the y-axis. Whatever axis we choose, we can plug in our double integrals and then solve for the values.